In 2011, I came across endlesssphere.com and I fell in love with this website. I spent 4 months reading, researching, interacting with this amazing community. I focused mostly on electric portable vehicles. I think I built my first board somewhere between 2011 and 2012 with Hobby King parts. I purchased and built over 10 speed controllers and finally came across Castle Creation. I was actually looking for something reliable, something that actually will last and perform exceptionally well. So Castle Creation products and their ASC lasted a lot longer compared to Hobby King speed controllers. But still, after 6 months, Mamba and Mamba XL line would fail. Here on Endless Sphere, I connected with Matt after seeing his project. He was one of the first members to figure out how to set the AC properly and make them run reliable on e-bikes and e-boards. Matt walked me through the necessary steps in implementing Mamba XL reliably into my off-road e-board projects. Guys, Matt has amazing builds on his channel. Also check his posts on endlesssphere.com. But this project just blown my mind. This monster e-board, from engineering perspective, is beyond any production e-board ever created by any company or any person I came across. And Matt did all of this in his garage in under 8 months. Matt's creation is amazing, and I would like to share this project with the community. I really hope one day Matt gets this beast into production line somehow. This machine is amazing, and Matt is insanely talented. Just look at detailing, look at the precision and how all this board is constructed. If you'd like to check Matt's other projects and see the full 22 minutes video with detailed explanation of Matt's YouTube channel, I'll post a link in the description below. Also look up his Endless Sphere posting ID. Here are a few of his coolest builds and the video of Matt's YouTube intro with him explaining the construction of the drivetrain, the benefits of DaVinci Drive, and a walk around the board and a short run of the beast. For the full 18 minutes video with the full description, check his YouTube channel. The link is posted in the description.
I'm Matt Shumaker. Welcome to Tech Forum. It's an aluminum deck. So let me tip it sideways here. So there's the underside of the deck or the chassis. This is where the batteries are. You can see that it sweeps up at the sides like a standard skate. The motor is an Astroflight Industrial Series motor. It's a 3210. It will run a little over 10,000 RPM at full throttle. The board being geared for 24 miles an hour in that you have the motor to a toothed belt to a pulley, and in the center of the pulley is a torque limiter. What that does is it allows the pulley to spin independently of the shaft if you overload the system, and that torque limiting feature is adjustable by tightening or loosening this large spanner nut. So the tighter it is, the more pressure on this Belleville spring, and the stronger the clutch is before it slips. These torque limiters are helpful to minimize driveline load because of how much torque the motors have. We've got the belt drive to a jack shaft, and the second stage is a chain from the jack shaft to the axle. The reason there's a belt on the primary stage and a chain on the second stage is because toothed belts run best at high RPM and low torque loading, whereas chains work better at low RPM and high torque loading. That torque is multiplied while the speed is slowed down to the second stage. So the first stage runs high RPM without much loading. The second stage is much lower RPM with higher torque loading. So it's proper application of technology. Now tucked down inside here is a garden tractor differential, and that differential has been modified in a number of ways to work in this application. The long axle was too short, so I had to cut that axle, extend it, and sleeve the axle inside this housing. This aluminum housing just houses the rotating axle inside. So it's a 1-inch axle that I had to cut, extend, and then weld a sleeve to extend it for both the front and rear axles. This axle coming out the side I had to shorten, and then I also had to machine a keyway. You can see the key slot there. Machine a keyway into that axle. On top of that, the differential the differential housing itself was too wide, and it wouldn't fit between the wheel and the chassis. So I had to cut and narrow the housing, modify it. It It's been internally modified, externally modified, the shafts have been modified, just a lot of work involved. The axle tube here is just straight. In this instance, I had to TIG weld a box to go around the differential. The chain tension is adjusted via moving the drive unit fore and aft. It's got double wishbone suspension, and we'll show you that here. Let's see if I can hold the camera properly. Lower arm and upper control arm. Loosen each lock nut, rotate the center link, and that changes, it extends or contracts. That allows for about twice as much front steering as rear. This is a skateboard in every respect, and it lean steers. And lean steering allows both the front and rear wheels to steer at the same time. Now that front and rear steering means that it will turn sharper and tighter, but if you have the rear end steer at the same ratio as the front, then it ends up squirrely. While you're riding, it wants to weave back and forth. So I've shallowed the rear steering kingpin angle and steepened the front steering kingpin angle. That gives me about twice as much steering at the front as the rear, makes it much more stable. Springs are slightly thicker than the front. You can see the fronts are relatively narrow, and the rears are a little bit heavier. There's see the way everything functions. The centering springs, the steering dampener,